What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, and today I want to talk to you about my friend Karl. So as we can see on the screen here, we have my dwarf buddy Karl. Now you may be looking at him and you might say, "Hey man, stop playing with your weapon. You're dropping it. I'm trying to explain you. Pull yourself together." Anyways, so as some of you might see, it does say grizzled jarl on the screen. So you might be thinking to yourself, where did you get the name Karl?
Listening.
Well, for those of you who don't know, grizzled actually is not his first name. Grizzled is just something to boost his ego, to kind of explain this champion and what he's all about. This brings us to the second point, where how did he get Karl? Well, for those of you who don't know, the J is actually silent. And what is the next letter of the alphabet? It actually is K. So, with the J being silent, his name therefore is Karl. So if you've been calling him Grizzled Jarl this whole time, he doesn't really mind, but don't let it happen again. So as we can probably see, Karl is part of the dwarf faction here, and his relationship status was in fact single until recently, where it's been moved to it's complicated. As we can see from Karl's nature, he looks pretty elegant, and even though he's rather short, he does make up for it with his absolutely large and massive polearm. With that being said, the sweetheart that caught Karl's eye happens to be Gala Longbraids, because she is also infatuated with large objects, as we can see from her weapon right here. However, as many of you know, there is a new dwarf on the scene, Bodbor the Bard. Now, Karl really isn't a fan of this guy. He thinks his monocle is actually extremely stupid looking, but that's fine. He's also not a fan of the pipe. He's trying to act more elegant than he is, and the fact that he plays the lute is pretty intimidating and is kind of ruining Karl's chances. However, he is determined to fit in and win Gala over in this dwarf faction. So now the next question is, where does Karl actually fit within the dwarves? Well, he's not as flashy as Trunda. He doesn't have the hard-hitting abilities she has, nor the flashy skills and animations. He's also not as fierce and intimidating as someone like a Mountain King or Samar, the brand new legendary, and especially not Tormund, who is probably the most feared of all the dwarves. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what does Karl actually have to offer? He throws a giant metal egg at people. Pretty legit if you ask me. Just saying. Outside of the metal egg, he's also known to be poking and prodding unsuspecting victims. And while this definitely isn't as flashy as some of the other champions we just mentioned, he certainly gets the job done with his absolutely massive weapon. Now, with that being said, there actually is a little bit more to our friend Karl here.
Nice.
While he doesn't enjoy long walks on the beach, you can actually find him in the frozen tundra of the ice golem, where he does like to spend his evenings clearing through all of the waves, trying to get as far as he possibly can, because this is another champion like Scrapper that we've mentioned before, who is extremely determined to do things on his own. At this point, you probably have a better idea on why they did give him the ego boost of calling him Grizzled to start, because most people definitely prefer long walks on the beach, but that's just not Karl. Now, the next question you've probably been wondering with that last run is, why is Karl doing all of these things by himself? Well, as we can see here, even when he is with friends, it seems like the friends would rather actually die and spend time with him in this run. So this is kind of like the sad story of Karl, and why he prefers to do things in his own solitude, not bothered and pretty much not hurt by other people, because every time he invites friends to join him on these long walks through the ice golem, they end up on the floor within 10 seconds of the fight. With that being said, however, all hope isn't lost for Karl to find friends. He knows that all he has to do to find some friends is to simply go into the arena. This way, he's guaranteed to get some face time with other champions throughout this game. While it's never going to end well for Karl himself, it's still fun for him to get the limited face time he actually can pull off. Now, I have mentioned this to him before, and it's still one thing that's a little bit concerning about Karl, but he does actually enjoy spending time in the tavern, but it's not for the reasons you would think. I've noticed this increase in activity in the tavern lately and asked him, "Hey Karl, what's up with this?" His reply to me simply was, "I enjoy watching champions getting sacrificed," which, as you can probably assume, was quite concerning for me to hear. After that information came to light, I started taking a deeper look inside of Karl's daily activities, and I noticed one other thing that I found quite strange as well. He was spending a lot of one-on-one time with the Demon Lord himself. Why this is a bit concerning is because it leads me to believe that Karl actually has some suicidal tendencies, which obviously is nothing to joke about. So once I started seeing him spending more and more time one-on-one with the Demon Lord, it definitely raised some questions, and I knew it was time to actually confront Karl about this, just to see kind of what his deal actually was. After further investigation and many minutes of one-on-one time and conversation with Karl, it seems like he just enjoys getting slammed over and over again. And hey, who am I to judge? It's his life, I'm going to let him live it how he wants to. So guys, there you have it. That's my friend Karl. There's a little bit about him. Hopefully you guys learned something new, and if you do have Karl on your account, definitely show him some love, but keep a close eye out for him, because if you neglect him for too long, he does start doing some very, very weird things, and some of them can be very troublesome if you do catch him in the act. As always guys, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this video, and I will see you all in my next upload.